morning, everyone. Good morning or afternoon, wherever you are. Today, we are just recording a session about the RED Grant program and the eligibility requirements for the program. Round 8 has now opened and it will be closing on the 9th of January. Today, I am joined by my colleague Anna, who is in the grants team at the South West Development Commission, and also Craig Holland, who is from IPS Small Business Support, who deliver the Small Business Development Corporation regional services from the Southwest all the way through to the Pilbara. Now, Craig has also, in a previous life with his business Maker & Co, has been the recipient of a RED grant as well as another Commonwealth grant program as well. So has lots of experience in grant writing and delivering a project that has been funded through a grant. So we'll try to make this as quick as possible. Craig will have some questions at the end about the RED Grant program, and then he's going to finish off with some grant writing tips. IPS through the SBDC also deliver grant writing workshops. And you'll be able to see on our website where you can access or register for those workshops as well if you would like to join. Before we get into it, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country, Wadandi Budja, throughout the Southwest where the three of us are sitting today. We acknowledge the traditional custodians and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. So the RED Grants program is a statewide government initiative that invests in locally driven projects that stimulate both job creation and economic growth in regional areas. The program is run throughout Western Australia, and each Regional Development Commission is tasked with administering the grant program. So the South West Development Commission will be delivering the program in the Southwest region. And this slide shows you what our remit is. So if you have a project in this area, anywhere from Harvey in the north, down through Margaret River, Augusta, all the way down through to Walpole and as far east as Boyup Brook, you would be applying to us at the Southwest Development Commission. So the program is subject to an assessment process, which is primarily based on the RED Grant objectives. So today we're going to go through some eligibility questions and some of the things that assessors will look for to assist when you're writing a grant application. So these are the 5 questions that we always will get you to ask yourself. What are the eligibility requirements for the RED Grant program? First of all, you're going to ask yourself, is it a project with a beginning and an end date that will add value to your organisation? Can that project effectively meet at least one of the RED Grant objectives? And does it align potentially with one of our Southwest regional priorities? You just need to ask yourself if the items of expenditure and your entity are eligible for RED Grant funding, and whether the project timeframes will be appropriate under the RED Grant eligibility criteria. So we're just going to go through those with a little bit more of a fine-tooth comb now. Starting with what a project is. So it can be defined as a set of tasks completed within a certain time period that delivers a specific set of outcomes. So what you need to think about when you're thinking about crafting what your project is whether it is outside business as usual activities, and that whether it adds value to your business that may deliver broader economic benefits. It does need to have a defined timeline with a beginning and an end date. And at the end of that timeline, will it deliver some outcomes that meet the RED Grant objectives and potentially regional priorities as well? It also, from an assessor's perspective, needs to be well planned, really well costed, and have had all the risks considered, and potentially with some mitigation strategies attached to those. So once you've thought about what your project is, this is the big one. You need to decide whether that project will deliver at least one of these RED Grant objectives. Now, these objectives are set at a program level. So anybody in regional Western Australia who applies for a RED grant needs to meet at least one of these objectives. Now, the objectives, I've put this slide into layers. So you've got the objectives at the top and then the metrics down the bottom. So it's really important in your application that you both qualify and quantify what your objectives, the objectives that you're going to answer. So in your application form, you'll have a section that you can write to and qualify how you will meet those objectives. And then there'll be a table a little further down in that application form, which asks you to select some metrics to quantify how you will meet the objective. So I've given a list here of all the metrics that you can choose from. You certainly don't have to choose every single one of those, but this will help you really determine and quantify how you meet the objectives. As I've mentioned, you don't have to answer every single one of them. You need to answer at least one, and in fact, assessors would rather see maybe 2 or 3 answered really, really well than all 5 just kind of answered. So we'll just go through these really quickly. Sustainable jobs, it's always a big one. Most of the successful applicants in the past have answered this objective. It's pretty self-explanatory. As a result of your project, will there be any additional FTE created? It might be full-time jobs, it might be part-time jobs, casual jobs. It may even be that you are able to offer additional hours to existing employees. Might be some new apprenticeships or traineeships. And you can include short-term jobs in here as well that may be created as a result of the implementation or the construction phase of your project. So expanding and diversifying industry, as you can see, really speaks to your sales, who you're selling this to. Are you going to be able to create some new customers, new markets potentially? Have you created some new products that potentially weren't there before? There might be some investment in research and development, or perhaps some new business collaborations. So it's really looking at the industry that your project is based and seeing if it's expanding or diversifying that industry in some way. Developing skills and capabilities, obviously that's another self-explanatory one. My advice here is if this is the only one that you can answer, that's fine, but just ensure that you're really tapping into the broader economic benefit of those developing skills and capabilities. So it may be that your project is addressing a broader skills gap in our region. That this will be able to fill. So we want to see as many skilled people in our region as possible. If the developing skills and capabilities is more insular to your organisation, that's great as well, but just make sure that you've got another objective that you've answered as well. So that insular skills and capabilities is kind of a byproduct of maybe a broader, another objective. Attracting investment in the region, again, looking at any other ancillary businesses that may be supported as a result of your project, perhaps looking at the supply chain that your project sits. Does that add any value? Does it add any value to that particular supply chain? Does it mean that we have a piece of the supply chain now in the southwest that wasn't here previously? Does it leverage any additional future investment into the region potentially as well? All of those things. Also looking at exports as well. So if it means that you're creating possibly a new product that you will be able to export outside of our region. So it might be, to Perth or to any other region in Western Australia. It might be interstate or internationally as well.